As you all may know, in this day and age, we have the lowest levels of testosterone in history than any time before us. And that's a problem for many reasons when it comes to health, when it comes to social, when it comes to economic, spiritual reasons. For all of the reasons and more, it is a ginormous issue. There are no more masculine men. And I think that men are becoming more woke. Men are starting to kind of get it. At least a small percentage of men, but some men are starting to get it, but a majority aren't. And it's a huge problem within our society because America specifically is doing everything that it takes to weaken us men. And I would greatly behoove you to do everything in your power to get high testosterone, to seek out what it means to be a masculine man. I would 100% behoove you to take part in these actions, to do everything in your power to find the answers to your problems. And having high testosterone, for the most part, is the answer to a lot of your problems. Why? Because high testosterone is what makes driven men. It is what makes men men in general. It's what makes men get up and get after it. It's what makes men want to fight. It's what makes men leaders. It's what makes men masculine. It's what makes men smart. Literally. It's what makes men men. And America is trying to ultimately kill your masculinity. And they're doing that in many ways. Pornography is a bigger problem in America than anywhere else in the world. Food, they're absolutely killing you with your food choices. Drinks as well. And something that they do that some people may not catch on to, they try to put women in a position of power to throw off the authority scale. Because we all know as men that there is a way of things. There's a natural order to men and women, right? Listen, I don't care what you want to think about that. This is the way things are. I don't make the rules about it, right? So essentially, in every way, shape, and form, they're trying to demasculate men and empower women because they're afraid that you'll stand up to them. They're afraid that they'll see the deception and the lies and what it is doing to your families, and you'll rise up and you'll make changes in groups and masses and congregations, and they don't want that. They don't want you to stand up. So what do? They make you submissive through the schooling system, because the schooling system is essentially just them raising you to be what they want you to be through your food choices, because anything that's a little bit too good is typically always bad for you. That Diet Coke that you think is healthy is not good. That McDonald's that you want to eat, that Chick-fil-A, none of it is good, right? Even if it's a meat choice, if it's inorganic, it's been sprayed with pesticides. It could literally have microplastics in there. There's a whole thing, right, that is going to target your testosterone kind of specifically to make you less of a man, right? And then we get into the music. That's a whole nother sector, right? And the problem with that is, and this is a generational problem, by the way, guys, they have been doing this since the beginning. Since the beginning. Walk with me here, right? When Adam and Eve were in the garden, who was it that gave Eve any sort of say-so, any sort of authority? And what happened when Adam didn't listen to God? What happened when Eve led Adam? What happened when Adam let Eve make a decision? We got kicked out the garden, fellas. And I'm not here to blame Eve, because as a man, as a masculine man, we take responsibility. That's just the way things are. We don't have to like it. But something could have been done differently. I digress. My point is, the natural hierarchy of things was flip-flopped. And we all got punished for it. Now let's go to the foods. This starts, whenever fast foods, whenever pesticides, whenever these things started to take place, I want to say around like 1950s, 60s. They're pumping all this BS into our foods that is genetically changing our DNA and making us biologically weaker. Now we have the highest obesity rate in the world, right? And guess what's inside of that fat that's in these obese people, right? Toxins from the food that they eat. Their bone density is a lot weaker. They're more lazy. They are literally lower IQ. The list goes on and on and on. And now when you pair a man who's like this with a woman like this and they have a baby, what do we get? We get a biologically weaker child. And then that child lives in those same habits his whole life because that's what he was raised in. That's all he knows. Gets with a woman who is exactly the same, right? And we're not even talking the dynamic of the relationships, guys. We're just talking about health here. And then you give that boy a child, right? The child gets weaker and weaker and weaker, not even just mentally, not even biologically. He's mentally weaker. He's spiritually weaker. We'll get into that in a minute, right? And now, because the father, I want to say he probably does not know what a masculine man looks like by the way he lived his life, right? If you can't raise a child to be a masculine man, he's just going to be. So these things get passed on to generation to generation to generation. And when I say spiritually, for anybody who is on a spiritual journey, whoever is trying to build up their spiritual life, they know it's going to take a lot of energy. This stuff takes a lot of energy, and you cannot burn clean energy if you're eating bad food. Like what I was saying with somebody who's obese, what's in that fat is toxins, right? All the chemicals that you can't pronounce. All of that stuff is stored within that fat. So when that fat is being burned, it is toxic energy instead of a clean, pure energy that you would get from an organic food. I digress. I do believe that men need to have it all. Men need to conquer the physical plate. They need to have great bodies. They need to be handsome. They need, to have their finances set. They need to dress nice. They need to conquer the spiritual world. They need to be able to conquer their lust. They need to have a good connection with God or the self, the universe, the source, whatever they believe. Mentally, they need to be knowledgeable. They need to be smart. They need to be mentally capable. They need to have grit. They need to be accountable and responsible. They need to have, us as men have so much responsibility that we have to pursue, and it's hard, but we need all of these things. But we cannot pursue any of those things if we're low energy, if we're fat and lazy, if we don't have any confidence because we don't look good, because we're not working out, because we, at the end of the day, have low testosterone. The root cause, we need, before we start taking action on any of these things, to get our tests in line. Testosterone drives men of action. Men who perform better have high testosterone. I don't make the rules, guys. And we have been tricked into believing lies that we don't even question. That's what makes a man submissive. He doesn't question anything. When the masculine man wants his woman to do something, does he want her to question her? Question him? No, he does not. But I'm saying that when the world gives us answers, we don't question those answers as men. We don't even think twice about it. We just eat it up. When it comes to anything political, which I'm not going to get into, that's not my space. We just buy it. We don't ask questions. We just go with the flow. We eat what we're given. We don't ask questions about what's in this. Why am I being fed this? We don't ask any questions. And that's a huge problem, fellas. And that is a huge problem. You do not want to be in a position of lack by default. And I'm just making this video because I would highly urge any man to do everything in his power to become high test, which would make him more masculine by default. It would literally change your bone structures in your face and your body. Matter of fact, it would change your energy levels. It will change your mental clarity and IQ. For so many reasons, you need to have high testosterone, and most men don't take it seriously. They don't. And they wonder why women walk all over them. They wonder why they can't keep a healthy relationship because they don't even know what a healthy relationship looks like. These men are typically far more immature, far lower IQ. The list goes on and on and on. Honestly, I could talk about this all day. But my point is, you cannot be a masculine man. You cannot be a leader. You cannot raise a household. You cannot lead men. And you definitely cannot lead women. You definitely cannot lead children if you can't lead yourself. And only the masculine man leads himself. That's it. Men who are typically more feminine, men who are maybe not even typically more feminine, but men who don't even have a will, the strength to fight back in any sense, typically weaker guys. And you don't want to be that guy. So I'm just here to let you know that you need high testosterone. It is of the upper importance that you maintain a life and seek out a life by all means to raise your testosterone and become more of a masculine man. For your physical health, for your mental health, for your financial health, because the guys who are running stuff have more energy, which means they have to have higher testosterone. It's just how the things go, right? Your spiritual life, because we cannot pour into ourselves and our spirituality with no energy. It's hard. The list goes on, fellas. We gotta have high testosterone if you want to be a masculine man, if you want to be a leader, if you want to be the man that you know yourself to be. You have to have high testosterone. And I'll leave you guys with that. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.